When we look at the world's largest economies today, we usually think of the United States, China, or European nations. Trillions of dollars in wealth, global corporations, international trade networks. But thousands of years ago, before modern economies even existed, another power stood at the center of the world. Its name was Babylon. Today, only ruins remain, but once upon a time, this city was a place where kings controlled enormous wealth, merchants chased fortunes, and one of the most advanced urban societies of the ancient world existed. But what if Babylon was still standing today? How large would its economy be? Could it compete with modern nations? And more importantly, then, how much would an empire like this be worth in today's money? From a city to an economic giant, the rise of Babylon. The story of Babylon did not begin as the story of a wealthy empire. At first, it was simply a small settlement in Mesopotamia. But Babylon's greatest advantage was not its military power, it was its geography. Because the lands between, the great rivers could become a source of enormous wealth if they were managed correctly. For a farmer, fertile land is a treasure. For a civilization, a strong economy is the same. Babylon understood this very early. Through advanced irrigation systems, they increased agricultural production. More food meant more people, more soldiers, larger cities, and eventually a stronger state. The foundation of Babylon's rise wasn't gold. It was the ability to use its land effectively. Something more valuable than gold, Babylon's economic system. Today, we measure a country's power by looking at banks, corporations, and financial markets. But during the Babylonian era, none of these existed. And yet, Babylon had a surprisingly complex economic system. Temples stored huge amounts of grain. Merchants made agreements, borrowed resources, and recorded their transactions. If modern companies have financial reports, Babylon had clay tablets. Thousands of surviving tablets reveal something important. People were not only fighting wars, they were calculating, planning, and managing wealth. A merchant knew his profits. A ruler knew how much tax could be collected. A worker knew what payment he would receive. This turned Babylon from an ordinary city into one of the ancient world's greatest economic centers. Babylon's transformation, the economic strategy of Nebuchadnezzar. What makes an empire truly powerful is not always the battles it wins. Sometimes it is how it uses the wealth it gains. During the reign of Nebuchadnezzar II, Babylon became one of the greatest examples of this. New structures appeared. The city expanded. The walls became larger. Royal construction projects were not only about showing power. They also created economic movement. Thousands of workers were employed. Materials were transported. Craftsmen produced goods. Trade accelerated. Just like modern infrastructure, projects can stimulate an economy today. Babylon used massive construction projects to strengthen its own economy thousands of years ago. How do we calculate Babylon's value today? Here we face a major challenge. The Union did not have a central bank. It had no stock market. There was no official GDP report, so it is impossible to say Babylon was worth exactly this amount. But historians and economists use different clues to estimate ancient economies. How did many people live there? How much did they produce? How much trade did they control? How advanced was their government system? By looking at these factors, we can see that Babylon was one of the strongest economic powers of its age. Compared to today's world, it was far more than just a city. It was a regional economic superpower. Babylon's hidden wealth, human power, and knowledge. The wealth of an empire is not always measured by gold. Rome's strength was not only its treasures, Britain's power was not only its ships, and Babylon's greatness was not only its palaces, its zoo. True wealth was the ability to organize people. Farmers produced resources, craftsmen created goods, merchants connected distant regions, administrators managed the entire system. In modern economic terms, Babylon had built a powerful production network. What if Babylon existed today? If Babylon existed as a modern nation today, it would not only attract attention because of its ancient history, it would also be recognized for the economic foundations it created, because powerful economies have always depended on the same principles: producing, trading, managing resources, organizing people. Babylon was doing this thousands of years ago. Today, only ruins and ancient tablets remain from Babylon. But those remains tell us something important. The world's first great economies were not created with computers, factories, or modern banking systems. Sometimes they began beside a river, what with engineering ideas and the organized effort of human beings. Babylon's greatest treasure may not have been its gold. What made it one of history's most important powers was the way it managed its economy.